This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Saudi Arabia's crude oil supply to China is set to decline in February from the month before, trade sources said on Thursday, after the kingdom hiked its prices and as OPEC Plus extended production cuts in the first quarter. State oil firm Saudi Aramco will ship about 43.5 million barrels to China in February, a tally of allocations to Chinese refiners showed, down from January's 46 million barrels, a three-month high. China's state majors CNOOC and PetroChina and private refiner Hengli Petrochemical will be lifting less crude in February, while Saudi Aramco will increase its supply to Sinopec and Sinochem, they said.
Oil prices rose slightly on Thursday as investors factored in firm winter fuel demand expectations despite large U.S. fuel inventories and macroeconomic concerns. Brent crude futures were up 35 cents, or 0.5%, at $76.51 a barrel by 12:46 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 30 cents, or 0.4%, to $73.62. Both benchmarks fell more than 1% on Wednesday as a stronger dollar and a bigger-than-expected rise in U.S. fuel stockpiles pressured prices.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Norway's natural gas production rose by 6.9% in 2024 to a record 124 billion cubic meters, BCM, but is expected to ease slightly this year, the Norwegian Offshore Directorate, NOD, said on Thursday. Norway became Europe's largest supplier of natural gas following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, providing about 30% of all gas imports to the European Union. Since the transport of gas from Russia through Ukraine ended at the turn of this year, gas from Norway has become even more important, NOD Director General Torgeir Stordal said in a statement.
Iran is pushing to recoup 25 million barrels of oil from China that has been stuck for 6 years in Chinese ports due to sanctions imposed by then U.S. President Donald Trump, 3 Iranian and 1 Chinese source familiar with the matter said. Trump is returning to power on January 20th, and analysts say he is expected to tighten sanctions again on Iranian oil exports to limit Tehran's income, as he did during his first term as president. China, which says it does not recognize unilateral sanctions, has been buying about 90% of Tehran's oil exports in recent years at discounts that have saved its refiners billions of dollars. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Dalian iron ore futures prices snapped a 4-day losing streak on Thursday, aided by China's latest stimulus measure and accelerated purchases by steel mills. The most traded May iron ore contract on China's Dalian Commodity Exchange ended daytime trade 0.53% higher at 754 yuan and 50 fen, $102.91, a metric ton. The benchmark February iron ore on the Singapore Exchange closed 0.78% higher at $97.20 a ton. Top consumer China has expanded the scope of a consumer goods trade-in scheme in an effort to boost subdued domestic demand, according to an official policy document released Wednesday.
Gold prices rose to a near 4-week high on Thursday, supported by safe haven demand, while investors weighed how U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's policies would impact the economy and inflation. Spot gold was up 0.3% at $2,670.16 per ounce, as of 10:55 a.m. Eastern Time, 15:55 GMT. U.S. gold futures rose 0.6% to $2,689.50. Safe haven demand is modestly supporting gold, offsetting downside pressure coming from a stronger dollar and higher rates, UBS analyst Giovanni Stornovo said.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
China will accelerate the breeding of new soybean and corn varieties and prioritize yield improvements for key grains and oil crops, as part of broad efforts to ensure food security, the Agriculture Ministry said in a statement late on Wednesday. The focus will be on 5 key crops: corn, rice, wheat, soybeans and rapeseed, and the better use and coordination of good land, high-quality seeds, machinery and farming practices, the ministry said. The ministry aims to increase grain production by 50 million metric tons by 2030, which would be a 7% increase over last year's record grain harvest.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.